Oh, there we go. We got Kirpani. Now we're getting going. Let's let Kirpani get set in there. Hi, Kirpani. Okay, without further ado, I'd like to call the meeting to order at 5 o'clock. And we're going to start with, as always, recently, we're going to share our moment of gratitude. As we gather today, we acknowledge that Eureka, California is ancestral territory of the Wiyot people. We also honor all Indigenous people and territories and sovereign governments that share governance within Humboldt County, California. We gather with respect and gratitude to these Indigenous people. We thank and honor the Indigenous caretakers of this land who continue to cherish and protect it. Their elders have instructed the young to consider the 7 generations ahead as they continue to protect the rights of the land and all people who live on it. We encourage all to align and follow the lead of local communities as they steward the land and protect all of its natural resources. And now we'll have 1 minute of silence.
Hello.
For those just joining, we're having 1 minute of silence.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, it's okay. All right, thank you. Those of you who just joined in had joined in right at the end of our reading, our acknowledgement, and we were having our 1 minute of silence. All right, roll call, Secretary Temporary.
Okay, Lyons,
Here.
Lochte,
Here.
Larson is excused, Glover is here, Miller,
Here.
Aronoff. I know you're here. Okay. Haney is excused. Morgan,
I can see his face, yeah.
okay, we'll take that as a present. Sundberg,
Here.
thank you. Rowe, okay. Harper Desir, and Perkins.
Wasn't she an excused also, Carol?
She wrote in. Does that make her excused?
She said she couldn't make it.
Okay, then that's what I've noted. Yeah. Okay, we have a quorum.
All right. Moving on, the approval of the minutes with our secretary not here. I never saw the final draft of the October 7th minutes sent out. Did anybody else see that sent out?
They're in the shared drive.
I didn't see the final draft. It wasn't. Let me look in again and see. When I looked,
Well, there's two sets of minutes to be approved.
right. And I want to see if the draft minutes ended up getting finished up or not. Because when I looked at it the other day, it wasn't in format to be finished up and approved. Which is okay. Let me go in and double check. Yeah, I see our draft 9 and our draft 10 are not finalized. I'll share the screen real quick with you guys. Let me share what I'm seeing so that you can see what I'm talking about here. Okie dokie, okie dokie. So here would be if everyone can see, yeah. So here is the draft that wasn't finished up quite yet.
How do we know it's not? How do we know it's not finished?
Normally speaking, when the minutes are finished and ready to be in draft form, aren't they a little bit more aligned like this? But we can go ahead and approve them. We can look them through. They're normally like this when they're ready to be, and they say draft, but they're still formatted correctly. Do you see what I'm saying? And he's back. Normally they're done up like this. Right now, these are rough minutes. These are rough. If you look at them, they're just rough. There's a lot more writing in them. There's a lot more notes. So this is a rough draft. It's not the final draft. Do you see what I mean? Is everybody getting that?
Then I would assume that they're not ready to be considered.
They're not ready to be approved. Yeah. So that's all I was going to say is we can't. And the same thing holds true for the October minutes. So we're not able to approve those. So we'll have to postpone those because they're not formatted yet for approval. They're just a set of notes still. All right. So we'll move on to item 4, agenda adjustments. Was there anything that anybody needed to add to the agenda that isn't already on there tonight? All right.
Oh,
Public comment. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
well, just taking a second.
Hmm.
Yeah.
We're gonna go over the letter, right?
Yes, and that should be added in here. No, that's going to be part of the report, the Homeless Committee report. That should be part of that report, the Homeless Committee. So it's already considered part of that report for that committee.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything anybody else thinking of? All right. Go ahead.
Yeah, if we have time, I guess it would be under human traffic. Well, it's not human trafficking. It's I got a call today about somebody concerned about the lack of follow-up for missing people. Where would
Why
that
don't we
go?
look at, Lisa, why don't we look at that when we look at commission communications, and that's where you would want to discuss that with us.
Okay, great. Remind me of that, would you?
I sure will. Yeah.
Okay, great.
All right. Agenda item 5, public comment. Recognition and introduction of guests and visitors. Public's invited to speak regarding matters not on the agenda. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. I wonder, I'm going to record this as well, actually, because I just realized that
Recording in progress.
I don't know if they are, the studio control is here, but we've had a couple of flaws, so I'm starting to record it suddenly. Commission may not act on an item that is not appearing on the agenda. If a member of the public speaks and requests assistance on a non-agenda subject, the commission may not take any action or propose any solutions, but the citizen may be given a resource card for contact information. Members of the public will each be allowed to speak on agenda item once during discussion, usually at the end of commissioner comments, and prior to any action or vote by the commission. Time to speak will be closely monitored. 3 minutes per person, and the public is invited to speak regarding matters not on the agenda. That's about that. So do we have any public comments that we'd like to recognize Karpani?
Thank you. I don't know if y'all are aware that the International Tribunal met on October 22nd through 25th with 9 international jurists who heard testimony to substantiate the charges brought by the In the Spirit of Mandela Coalition against the U.S. government, its states and agencies, charging civil and human rights violations and genocide against Black, Brown, and Indigenous people. So on October 25th at the press conference in New York, the jurists pronounced the verdict of guilty on all counts against the U.S. So predictably, this historic We Still Charge Genocide petition presented on the 70th anniversary of Paul Robeson and William Patterson's petition to the International Tribunal, also charging genocide in 1951, was not covered by mainstream media this time. However, the reason I'm speaking about it is because I feel it's an event that the Humboldt County Human Rights Commission should be aware of as the movement for justice, self-determination, and liberation for Black, Brown, and Indigenous people moves forward. So there's a whole lot more of information about this. I myself attended it in New York. It was amazing. I feel like it would behoove the commission to have these details to realize the gravity of, I mean, we already do, but to realize that somebody's paying attention, that you should know about it. So I can put the links to all the information. Any of you is welcome to call me or email me and ask questions. It's very important. That's why I'm bringing it to you. So thank you.
Thank you, Carpani. And it would be great if you could email that information to us.
I will
And
do.
we could look at it, and maybe we could invite you to speak more on it in a more, as an agenda item in the future, because that I am very curious about it. I didn't know about it. So we really appreciate you bringing that to our attention.
You're welcome.
Any other public comments at this time?
Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Carpani, you'll want to email that to us because normally chat isn't on. Okay. Yes, we can, but this is public comment right now, Lisa.
Yeah, I invited Nezzy Wade to jump on here. I know that she's not going to be able to probably, I don't know, maybe comment on our letter, but I had a brief conversation. Nezzy, are you here?
I am here, and I'm really sorry, but I'm chasing some deer out of my yard right now.
Okay.
It's not an agenda item.
I would like to make a public comment, just a notification that on Monday, the 15th of November, in front of the courthouse, there will be a gathering in honor of National Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week. And there will be several groups that support homeless in their shelter and shelter-related issues. Hunger being one of them, and homelessness, of course, being the other, among many other things. And we are hoping that people will join us in front of the courthouse at 3:30 to come together and meet some of the organizations that are working on these issues, and to foster some support for our houseless neighbors. So anyway, that's the public comment for that much of this. I'm here to hear what you have to say also about your work with homelessness.
It's good to see your face while you wander through the
Sorry,
yard, Nezzy.
I have 3 deer that are walking around my yard, and I've got apple trees full of apples. I don't want them to go away. So I feel badly, but I just saw them out the window and I had to come out here. I'm very sorry.
Okay. All right. Any other public comment?
We have a hand up.
I have a question for Nezzy.
Yes.
According to public comment, commission may not act on an item.
I don't want to act on it. I wanted
Okay.
to repeat something.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect.
Nezzy, could you repeat the day and the location?
Yes, it's Monday, the 15th, in front of the courthouse at 3:30. We'll
Right.
be kicking off. And it is, everyone's invited to come who would like to become aware of hunger and homeless awareness in Humboldt County. And we have a proclamation from the cities and the county for such. And it's just an opportunity for people to recognize. We're going to ask people to bring donations and food and whatever they have that they would like to share with folks that we interface with
Okay.
daily in our street outreach. So
Thank you very much.
I feel like we could do something on our Facebook page for that, but I'll figure that out away from this venue.
yeah, thank you.
Sorry, Jim. Keep tight chip around here. Any other public comments? All right, seeing none, we're going to move to item 6, commission communications. Emails and regular mail. Did anybody get anything out of the ordinary sent to them? Any of the commissioners that they want to share?
This would be where I'd share what I got about.
Right,
Okay.
because the next section is all other announcements and communications, which would be you right now, Lisa.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I got somebody sending me information about a gentleman by the name of Hunter who's been missing, and the family would like the family of John Davis, a Humboldt County hunter who is missing near Covelo, requests the community's help in a search this morning. That was October 27th. The family here is asking a Humboldt County sheriff to I guess have search and help with assistance all the way down to the Mendocino line, I guess, or whatever the jurisdiction is. But they haven't felt that there's enough support, and there are some other folks that, let me see, that's on that one. And then I've had comments from people from my own community we've had 3 murders on our, or 3 of our members that have been murdered, and don't feel that there's been an adequate, I guess, I would say investigation into it, amongst another family member from the same lady that called me this morning. Said there was a murder that was done. This woman was going up and down the street, pounding on doors, saying someone was trying to kill her, and then they found her in the church parking lot, murdered underneath the car. Anyway, so it's stuff like that, and then there's been no follow-up. So I just am sharing that with everybody here, and I think we need to figure out what can be done. Obviously there's families that are concerned, but then they're at the mercy of whatever the Humboldt County Sheriff's Department is willing to do or has the bandwidth to do. And maybe we can find out what's going on there.
Well, I do have one of his nieces as my student, the hunter who's missing. And so I've gotten daily updates in that regard, which I can say that they are searching the river at this point because of the Eel River swelling, and that he had been moving his campsite, so they're not sure what happened. And it is pretty tragic, and I'm sure that the family, no matter how much is being done, wishes that there was more being done. It's
of course.
Yeah, and it's everybody's rallying around the family though. So I think that's what I can share about it from my perspective. The murders and missing people in Indigenous communities is a travesty, and it's ongoing. So I feel for you having to hear those stories, Lisa. I'm not sure what we can do on our end, but we are with you in spirit, and we can.
Is it that our committee can make recommendations, because we do have our subcommittees that focus on some of these things, and just like we're doing one for the homeless, maybe recommendations. But I'd really like to probably find out, maybe have another discussion with the sheriff department, maybe some of the families or something like that, and see how are these things handled, so everybody kind of seems to know that there are activities being done to investigate. And one of them is like I said, one is I've got 3 members in my community.
Yeah,
we have a very high morbidity rate here on murders and just natural deaths. Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Anybody else have any other announcements or communications from any of the other commission members today?
Is this where I would say something about those houses that I submitted to everybody?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. No. I see.
Oh, maybe not, but wait and put it in the homeless area? Is that what you're thinking, Jim? Sorry.
I have no idea. It was something that came from the outside. It wasn't sent to me as a committee member. I don't know. So
Yeah, it's not part of it's not part of the homeless report. It's not part of the letter at this point.
No.
But what do you got, Jim?
Well, that would be the appropriate place to bring it up in relationship to the homeless report.
Okay.
That's where the emails that I was copied on.
Okay.
were
No
tied
worries.
in.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, well, it looks like we had done a partial report. We're going to move on to the message line report. And we did a partial report to the date of our last meeting, which I believe was October 7th. So, Larry, what did you have after that from the 7th to the 15th?
That, I think the first time that I've ever been on the phones, zero report, no calls.
All right.
The whole 2 weeks.
And David Haney's not here tonight, so we could ask him to report on that at the next meeting. Jim, is that what you suppose? I mean, we could go in and look at the message line, but we wouldn't really know.
No, you couldn't. There's nothing there.
Okay, then. Okay. And Jim, you've just been on it for 3 days. You want to hold that report until next month, or do you have
It would
something?
be proper to report on it at next month's meeting.
Okay, got it. So we'll ask David again next month. All right, let's move on to agenda item 7, the treasurer's report. Guy, are you talking? We can't hear you. Can't hear you.
You hear me now?
Can hear you now.
Okay.
Barely.
Barely, very, very faint.
Louder.
Now we can't.
Why it's not coming through. Bank statement from October 31st. We currently have a balance of $108.47, which will probably not getting anything, huh?
Barely.
I heard their amount though. We got that much. We've lost your sound again, Guy.
And anyway, balance, if you can hear me, 108, $108 and a few cents, which will probably last us a couple months. I wanted to thank Bird for her help on the grant. I did submit a monies for reimbursement for the grant, and I think that should be going through shortly. So we should at least recover some of the money we've been using for Google Suite and for Zoom. I've also been in touch with Supervisor Wilson, although he hasn't responded to 2 of my emails asking about what kind of support commissions get in our county, if any. I already see the shaking head, but still worth bugging. So at this point, I haven't received, the phone hasn't been ringing off the hook, so let's put it that way, but we'll see where it goes. Anyway, that's about all I have. Yep.
Oh, Bird,
Jim first. Oh, Bird, okay.
Jim was first. Go, Jim.
I don't know if you're going to say the same thing I am or not, but I'm wondering, do we have any built-in expenses that we're paying for monthly that we could cut back on? Because it seems like our balance is going down very fast, and like Guy said, we'll be gone in 2 months unless we get a reimbursement from the McLean Foundation.
Well, it's from when we got the Google Suite and Zoom. For a while, we were spending quite a bit on it, and we have been able to cut back on some of it, but unless we were to get rid of our Gmails and go back to the HHR, we would still be.
Well, is that an option? Do we need to pay for something that we could get for free otherwise?
I think in the long run, if we worked on it, it would take, we'd want to archive whatever the KM at Humboldt human rights or human rights thought. But I have been kind of moving in that direction, attempting to get to that place where I'm not sure why we got all the emails. because we do have OneDrive, but we'd have to move everything that we now have that we used to have in personal emails. We'd have to move it to OneDrive instead of Google Drive. OneDrive is part of the Outlook suite, which is what the county owns. So it's going to take a little bit to get all that done.
Well, I would suggest that we should formulate a committee to analyze that particular situation, not just one person looking at it.
Well, I'm not sure. It requires just talking to the county and having them help us move everything over to OneDrive. So I'm not sure we need a whole committee for that. But I'll definitely, if you want to head a committee for that, but I think it's already so darn convoluted right now. We're trying to simplify it. Yeah.
I'm just trying to bring it to your attention.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And it is something we're still working on. Go ahead, Bert.
I just wanted to know, Guy, have you been in contact with Denise at McLean? Have you had any communication with her, or did you just send in the request for reimbursement?
Hear me? Okay. Yes, I have been in contact with Denise. She's been very, very cordial. I told her I need to take baby steps, but she provided me with the invoice information, and I did provide her with basically everything that I know about going all the way back to the last quarter of 2019. And she seemed to be very satisfied, and I think she told me it was going to be a done deal fairly soon. And she herself is going to be out of town. I think she's going to be on vacation for a couple of weeks, but I think everything is already done. I'm just waiting.
Good. Okay.
I gave her two addresses, the 5th Street address for City Hall. I also told her it would ultimately go to me, and then I would put it in the bank, which I should probably add that information to you guys as well, that finally, after I don't know how many weeks, the bank is all secured, at least for now.
Good.
So hopefully,
How many years? I feel like it was pretty tough.
Can't hear him.
Hopefully, we'll have a little bit of money at the beginning of 2022. So I kind of concur with Jim over there. If there's any way, because we're basically bleeding $50 a month, and I see we're going to be out in front of City Hall selling cookies here soon.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, if it's okay with you guys, I saw Chief Watson came on, and I'm sure he has something to share with us about the texting, which is part of unfinished business. So I'm going to move his statements up so he doesn't have to sit here for an hour waiting to take a turn to talk to us. And did I hear that that we're going to have to wish you bon voyage soon? Did I read that?
That is true. My last day is November 30th, and I'm officially retired from this job on December 1st. And so
I saw that.
Yeah, we'll see what the next adventure brings.
Yeah. All right. So how are you this evening, generally speaking?
I'm well, thank you. And thank you again for having me. This will be my last meeting with you guys at the Human Rights Commission, at least as Chief of Police. And so I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss it and give you a final update on where we're at with the texting investigation. So the investigation has concluded. It's been concluded now for over a month. The legal team that the city hired is still reviewing the findings and kind of involved in that process right now. It's we got the around 200 page draft. I think it was sometime around September 20th, maybe the final draft that after the end of the first week of October of the report itself. Of course, again, legal team still reviewing everything. The city managers shared that the city's offered the firm some potential disciplinary actions that we're looking at taking based on the investigation and the report. And so those need to be reviewed by the legal team. You want to make sure everything aligns, the evidence and the facts with this potential discipline action for those employees that that could potentially face that. Obviously, I can't get into the details. I can tell you I've read everything and the attachments and all of that front to back. It's an extremely thorough and comprehensive report. I believe that sheds a very clear picture on what we're dealing with. I don't want to get into too many details, but there were a lot of allusions that a vast number of officers involved. That is not true. It's a small number. With two in particular, the public's well aware of from reading the news reports that were primarily involved, and any others at a lesser, and in some cases, much lesser extent. I don't know how much the city will be able to release. It's going to depend on the privacy laws that would be in place based on the findings and the Peace Officers Bill of Rights and the government code. I know that our desire has been all along to be as transparent as possible. And so, we'll see what we're allowed to do going forward. I believe everyone's aware that Officer Mefta has left employment with the city. I'll just leave it at that already. That's been some time now. I also wanted just to point out that, that questions out the timing of my retirement. The city manager has been very clear. I'm very clear. It has nothing to do with my retirement. The time, this thing's drug on like 7 months. We're both disappointed, wanted it ended earlier, but we are at least satisfied that we have a very thorough investigation and report. And I think the city manager pointed out that, the most important thing is to get it right. And, we're confident that we're at that place now when it comes to the review and decision-making to follow and whatever accountability measures or disciplinary actions are appropriate on a case-by-case basis based on individuals' involvements. The report, I can tell you right now, there is nothing in there that indicates any kind of failure again on my leadership or anything associated with retirement. I hate having to beat that, but that crops up from time to time. I was worried about that when I picked the retirement date, but it just, the two were not connected, at all. And that's pretty much all I have on that specific topic.
Jim?
Well, I'd like to ask the chief, if not your replacement, then who might be able or willing to report to us in the next month or two, assuming there's something new to report?
I believe City Manager Slattery would be the perfect person to reach out. I think he was on one of our very first calls here. I am hopeful still that I will be able to take the next steps before I leave at the end of the month. It's starting to look like that may be possible. In a couple of cases, that's already been done. But I don't know yet because, again, we're waiting on the legal team to get us there. So depending on the outcome, sometimes processes and due processes can drag on months afterwards. And obviously I won't have any control over that, but I feel like I was a chief of police when these events occurred. And so it's important for me, to the extent possible, personally and professionally, to lead and to take ownership of that and to not pass that burden on to the next chief that comes, to the extent possible. And so that's what my goal is and my hope is, and we'll see what happens in the next 3.5 weeks.
Do you mind recommending to the city manager that he or somebody makes a December report?
I will do that before I go home tonight.
Thanks.
All right. Anything else?
Well, I'd like to thank you for your service for Eureka Police Department and wish you a happy retirement.
Thank you. I'd like to add one other thing. We know we have not arrived. We know that we have more work to do, and this investigation is one example, right? But I truly believe that we have taken, the Eureka Police Department has taken tremendous strides in the last several years. And we are very much a fundamentally different department. There's so many new faces here and more being hired continuously. And, we can't give up. It's all about continual improvement, ownership, accountability, and all of that. I believe we've laid a strong foundation for that. And I am hopeful that the next chief that's selected will continue that work with community engagement and relationships and transparency and accountability, as well as taking good care of the men and women that sacrifice so much to serve. And, I'm just looking back, even going through this process of preparing for my last day in retirement. And I'm just, it's just incredible how much we've accomplished as a team and how far the department's come and many of the cultural changes that have already taken place. And I believe that will be proven by what you see moving forward. So I just wanted to throw that out there. We're also making some progress on our staffing issues. We still got a ways to go, but we, with a dispatcher and background just about ready to be hired, we're only going to be down one dispatch position. We filled animal control, we filled our community service officer positions, and actually with the city manager's support are hiring several more non-sworn CSOs to help augment the work that the officers do out there to the community in community service, customer service. We're hiring a non-sworn Parks Waterfront Ranger that'll be part of the CSET team. We just had an officer get off of field training, or about to, and then a lateral officer experience from another agency just started work, isn't in training right now. We have 3 police cadets for the January Academy that have been given conditional job offers and will be sworn in at the end of the month, with 2 others in backgrounds right now, actually 3 others in backgrounds. And so I'm hopeful we'll have a good cadre of police officers that reflect the values and expectations of this department and the community going to the academy in January to get our staffing levels back where they need to be.
As a Eureka City resident, that's all good news to me. And you guys have come leaps and bounds with your homelessness liaison and some other great positions that you guys developed over the years that I've been able to witness as a downtown Eureka. Bert?
I just want to say thank you to Chief Watson for your service, but also for your willingness to take on a difficult situation and try to make it better. And I think you are doing that. And I just have to say, I'm disappointed that you're leaving.
Well, thank you. It was not an easy, obviously an easy situation. And there's kind of some multifaceted, reasons behind ultimately my decision. But the bottom line is that it's time. My family, I have 5 kids. 4 of them are still in the home. And 2 of them are very young, and they've been asking me to retire for about 2 years now. And so I hadn't planned to go this early, but everything just aligned that way where it was time. And so the first week of announcing that decision, honestly, was pretty rough for a number of reasons, but I began to kind of envision what it'll be like to take the next steps. And I'm not done. I'm 50. I want to teach related to this profession, maybe do some consulting, find other ways to serve, and who knows what the future holds, maybe other opportunities. I'm also finishing my graduate degree in law enforcement and public safety leadership, which will really kind of help set the stage for that. And so I'll be around, and when you see me out there, please say hi.
Good luck to you.
Yeah. And thank you for your service and what you guys do. Really important, truly.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you, and I think you'd make a great teacher. So hope to see you in the field. I'm a teacher. So.
All right. Well, I'll end on this. When I said teaching, I was thinking like college level, the academy, maybe this, because here's a true story, super fast. I was kind of lost going through college, didn't know what I wanted to do, went down one path, didn't feel like it was it. I stayed for the 5th year to get my teaching credential, which I have. And during my student teaching, I encountered a 5th grade class, and I quickly decided I wanted to do something that was less stressful and more safe. I immediately became a cop, and that's the truth. So my heart goes out to teachers everywhere. I don't know how you do it. Truly, I don't, especially today.
I'm teaching high school right now, and the struggle's real after a year and a half of COVID. I don't even want to get into it, but I tell you, the struggle's real. Well, we appreciate you.
Service. Yeah, thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Good luck. Yeah. Good luck in finding and getting to know yourself in your new career path.
It's been my identity for nearly a quarter century, and I've already warned my family that, hey, Dad's going to probably go through this transition period and some mood swings here, and just love me and stay with me. Well, I figure it out, until the morning I wake up and I go, hey, this is nice. Because I still have a lot of passion in my heart. I love this community, love this department. It's really difficult for me, honestly, to be leaving. But, again, it just was time, and I'm hopeful somebody will come in and take it to the next level.
Well, I think you're going to get to enjoy your kids more and feel safer doing it. So there you go on that.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Take care. You're welcome to stay with us, or you can sign off. It was great having you all these months. Keep us abreast.
I got to go meet some new volunteers for our volunteer patrol. So
Okay.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. That was great. Already, okay, getting back on track. We're now at item number 8, which is Correctional Facilities Liaison Report. Larry, got anything new?
Yeah, it's been pretty quiet. I did get one referral from David from a female inmate in the jail that was seeking some help with conservatorship, and I set up with Sarah a time, and I spoke with the young lady, and it's a real example of the county jail acting as a mental health facility. She has been there 2 years. She was supposed to go down to a mental facility down south, and in that process, they took away a conservatorship that she had, assuming that apparently she didn't need that down there. Well, she didn't go down there. They are essentially trying to provide her with mental health services in the county jail. She, just before, or just actually after she called requesting some help, she was able to talk with her advocate at the mental health advocate, who is going to be actually writing a letter to the Superior Court trying to get her conservatorship reinstated. She also has been fairly recently in contact with her public defender, who is trying to get her mental health deferment or deferral, so she can get out of there and get services outside of that environment. At this point, there wasn't anything else that I felt I could do. I gave her, is encouragement, because she was taking care of business and following through on the things that are going to help her get out of there. But again, she shouldn't be there in the first place. I don't know why the mental health hospital wasn't able to take her, but anyway, that's the one inmate that I talked with. I also, one of the commissioners wanted to find out whether if we could do these interviews through Zoom. So I talked with Sarah about that, and she said, unfortunately, they did not have the capacity to do that at this point. So that's where we stand with that. Again, commissioners, if you're on the phone and you get a call from somebody in the jail, get it over to me as soon as you can. That's it.
Jim?
Just a question, Larry. Is this lady not a candidate for sempervirens instead of the jail?
Well, she's receiving, she is receiving mental health services while in the jail. I didn't actually talk to Sarah about that particular point. It sounds like, and what I did tell her is that, if the two avenues that are being pursued now by the public guardian and the public defender, if they don't move forward, to get back to us. And at that point, I'd probably, be expanding my inquiries, finding out what, I'm unfortunately, I don't believe she's, the only person in there that, falls in that category. So anyway.
Sad but true.
That's it.
Right, Stan, we'll move on to item number 9, standing committee reports. Sanctuary ordinance, David and Eddie are both not here, so I guess we'll hold off on that report. Okay, human trafficking, that would be Eddie. Do Lisa or Bird or Jim have anything on human trafficking? Bird?
The grant has been given to the Catholic Charities in Santa Rosa. That did happen. Thank you for getting that information to Humboldt Area Foundation for that. The other part of that is Katrina. She is concerned that the website is not finished, and she thought that there was money left, but there is not in the grant that she had. There is still a little money left in the grant from last year, and the amount of money that we had from the county. And I'm wondering if we should just have her apply for that to finish it, and whether she says she's not capable of doing it and she needs help. Is Eddie here?
No.
No.
Not here. So maybe we need to talk with Eddie and see if he can help her do it. But you did give us permission last, or I think it was in September, the committee to make a decision with her about the money, the leftover money. But that was for her grant, and that's not there now. It's hard to get this committee together. That has not been happening. It is a standing committee, so it has to be announced and go through all of the timing and so forth. So I'm not sure. I suggested to her that she should just maybe reapply for the rest of the money that's in the fund, and see. That's where we are right now. I don't know. I've been out of town, so I don't know. Jim, do you know if Eddie did anything with trying to get a committee together?
I haven't heard a word.
Okay. Well, I guess we need to ask him to do that. But does anybody have any objections if we just suggest to Katrina that she go ahead and reapply with another grant for what's left that we have there?
Is there a way we could get a report on what's been spent out of the grant and what's left in the grant? Do we have a running tally of that somewhere available to us to look at as a commission?
I don't think so. It's just from the grant that she wrote and the things that she did.
Has she given us a report on what the money was spent on and what's been done? I mean, do we have normally there would be a report written after, to show.
Well, there might have been a report. Jim, do you remember the last report that we got from her?
That could have been a year ago.
Yeah, it's been, because this has gone on for a long time.
Maybe we could get a hold of that to see. So there's been no work done on it in a year then on the website?
No, the last report might have been a year ago. That doesn't mean there hasn't been more work done.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Could we kind of maybe, I don't mind, if I can get her information, I don't mind sending a request asking for, kind of what's been done.
If it's all right with the commission, what I would like to do is to send her a request for everything that's been done up to this point, what still needs to be done, and suggest that she write a grant for that last amount.
Great, yeah, because I'll go back in time to find out what the grant amount was to begin with and how it was dispersed. I'm just curious how it was dispersed and how we were recording what the money was used for, that's all. And I saw your hand, Larry.
Yeah, I'm real curious as to, how much we have left, and is that going to be a sufficient amount to finish this project? And how do we find that out?
I can find out what's left from Humboldt Area Foundation, I can ask them the exact amount that's left. It's not a whole lot, but, and I don't know if it'd be sufficient. Because I don't know exactly what still needs to be done. The problem is, I think that we have a website now and it needs to be maintained. And I don't know how that's happening.
Jim?
I'm scheduled to participate in a community collaboration, which is Katrina's organization, next week. I could bring this up to her at that time to, bring us all up to date.
That would be
That'd be
good.
great. Yeah, that's kind of just, can we get up to date? Because it seems like it's been off the radar for a little bit, and I'd like to know, I think we'd all like to know what's been done and what still needs to be done so we can figure out how to facilitate that. And then how would we monitor that website? Would we have that be part of the human trafficking fund? I mean, once the fund, if the standing committee is for the human trafficking fund, once that fund is used up, do we apply for another grant? Or does this standing committee get closed? Or do we just have a human trafficking committee? What would be our next steps with this committee? Because this is specifically human trafficking fund committee. So Jim?
Well, I would suggest we just drop the word fund and
That's
keep
what I'm thinking too.
the committee as human trafficking, and they can continue on no matter what the status is.
So can someone move to do that now? So we can just change the name of it? So Jim moves to change the name of this standing committee to the human trafficking
Second.
committee.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, let's take a quick vote. Jim, do you want to call our names?
Oh, okay. Lyons,
Yay.
Glover, yes. Miller,
Yes.
Lisa Sunbird,
Yes.
Bird,
Yes.
and Guy. And that's a yes. It's unanimous, six yes, no
Yeah,
no.
just a little, that way we can keep it as a committee, and then we can move forward with maybe discussing the possibility of having we might need to have I don't know who owns the website. I don't know if it's GoDaddy or who's the website builder, but I'd be curious to see, because you're right, we're going to need somebody to maintain it. Do we want somebody within our volunteer commission to maintain it, or would we look for somebody in the community to maintain it, et cetera, et cetera? So that might be something to look at once we get the website, I guess, finished, since it's, I guess, not finished. Thanks for bringing that to our attention. Anything else on human trafficking?
Well, there's just the issue
Yes,
of
ma'am.
whether or not the county has put money into their budget again for us for that fund.
How would we find that out?
The committee could check into that.
Okay, so we could send an email to Eddie with that note maybe after this meeting and ask him if he could check into that. Or one of you two could. Someone want to volunteer? Or
I'm sorry, I don't mean to be saying so much, but I think this is a committee project and it should be worked on by the committee.
I agree. That's what I'm saying. Does somebody want to take that
We're
on?
suggesting an email to them right away before the committee's even had a chance to think about it.
Perfect. I'm in total agreement. Good.
Perhaps I don't want to make decisions for Eddie, but I'm wondering if perhaps someone else should be chair of this committee, because we really have floundered right for the last few months. And I'm just wondered if
Maybe you could
or
discuss it. Sorry.
if Jim or Lisa would be willing to do this.
Lisa looks interested.
Oh my God. I'm so overloaded right now. I'm like, who's got the time? Do you, Jim?
I
Yeah,
can make some time.
that would be fantastic. I mean, it's not that I wouldn't, I mean, totally interested in it. So that's why but to be responsible for it, no. Thank you.
Should
Would we want to make this decision? Would we want to make this decision without Eddie present? Or remember, we did some changes before, but everyone was present last month. Would we want to discuss it with Eddie first? Do we need to discuss it with Eddie first? What do you consider the proper protocol?
Well, the polite thing is to discuss it with him first, I guess.
Yes.
But I think you can do that, Marianne. You can say that Jim is willing to do this. And really what it means is that set up a meeting with us so that we can do what we need to do.
Yes.
And Jim, you're so great at doing that. I think you do it easily. So I really think maybe, Marianne, you can just say that Jim is willing to do that. How does Eddie feel about that?
I will.
And then you can just appoint Jim if Eddie agrees.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
No worries. It makes sense. Is that it for human trafficking fund? Anybody else? Okay, let's move on to ad hoc committee reports. We've got our racism cultural awareness committee, and it looks like Carol's not here. It looks like Lisa, you are the only person here from this committee. Has anything happened on it?
No, I think
no news.
Yeah, this is another one of those that needs to have some attention paid to it.
Well, we had moved originally. Haney was, but it became Carol, and I almost think, I know that you're so busy with the homelessness thing, but I almost think that you'd be the most appropriate fit to chair that committee, Lisa. But you don't take it on right now. Think about it.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, just think about it when But
I'd probably be the one I might be willing to squeak some energy out, but I'm like so slammed, so I want to make sure that I don't fall in the same, situation. But what? It needs attention, though. It does.
The committee ends next month, so if there's no activity by next month, I think that we would end the committee and possibly form another committee like it in the future because most of these committees come up based on information that's been brought to us. And if there's, the bandwidth is what the bandwidth is. So if there's no activity next month, the committee will end. So let's think about
that. Happen. That can't happen either. So this is where I get myself in.
Well, we can't do anything until we talk with.
Yes, let's talk to Carol. She's
and everybody who's not here. Okay. But I do want to point out that the committee does end the 31st, and if it's been months of no activity, it seems pointless to have an ad hoc committee that isn't having activity. Jim.
Mary, if it isn't discussed tonight, I know this is a little out of kilter for the agenda, but if it is discussed tonight, I think we need to have a discussion at our next meeting, certainly, about how committees are going to function, or if they're going to function at all, because it seems like we go month after month after month with incomplete reports or no activity, and we can replace all the deckhands we want. There's got to be some expectation that these jobs will be finished.
Well, I think I might try to formulate an email out to everybody that just kind of says, there's not been a lot of activity on certain, without pointing fingers, and just say, I do understand that we're all volunteers, and I do understand that it could be a lot, but if, and I agree with you, and it's something that we've been talking about, Jim, and I've talked with Mo, and I've talked about, and really, quite honestly, if a committee's not having any action, then it's okay to have that committee date, and when the time is right, to form another committee, because something will come up again. The racism cultural awareness that kind of came up 2 years ago had a lot to do with how people were conducting themselves towards each other. Yep. Go ahead, Lisa.
Well, so for protocol on the committees, the chair of the committee is the one that calls the meeting.
Yes.
So I think maybe just a reminder, and maybe get the committee people, because if there's no reach out, I'm going mock too. So if somebody reach out to me, I'm not even paying attention to it, and then we come to a committee meet, a report here, and I'm like, what? There's nothing to report. So I think it's just reminders or something,
I agree with you. So I think that part of the email that I'll formulate, committees need to meet at least once a month.
Right.
And they need to meet at least once a month so that we can have a report. And that there are several committees. There are 3 committees. I thought we moved the date for the Human Rights Survey. Didn't we change that date from 12:31?
Yes, that's wrong on the agenda.
Yeah, that's my fault. I changed the new commission one. That's my fault. So I'll go back and look in the notes and change that, because that got changed. I'm just looking at it. So the only 2 that are ending, and we're going to get to the Homeless Committee in a minute, which I think we should extend that. Absolutely. But I don't think there's enough members of the committee for Racism and Cultural Awareness Committee to extend that when we don't have enough activity in it at this moment. But it's okay, Carpani. I see you and I feel you, and why don't you just join the commission, Carpani? Get your supervisor to get you on here with us, because you're an active person. All right, so we're just going to move forward at this point, and we're going to get, because I know that we do have some action on the Homelessness Committee. First of all, I want you guys to notice that the date is that committee ends is 12/31, and so if anybody on the committee would like to extend that date, so the Homeless Committee.
Oh, the Homeless Committee?
Yeah, it ends 12/31/21, and Aaron, the head of the committee's here, so that's just something I thought that if you feel like you'd like to extend that, then that might be something you want to do. But what you got for us, Guy? Can we hear you?
I hope so. Can you?
There you go.
No?
Yeah, we can hear you.
God, I don't.
Oh, I can hear him.
Yeah, you can speak into I don't know if there's a mic or.
I'm trying to speak in my mic on the side over there. I thought it would come through. So if I keep ducking down lower, you might hear me. I don't know.
We can hear you.
Okay.
That does help. That does
Okay.
help.
Well, I'm leaning down, so just ignore the fact that my face is crunched in. What was the question there? I'm sorry.
The homelessness report. It's time to do the Homeless Committee report.
Oh, okay. You want to? Well, I hope it's fairly self-explanatory. We met a couple times. Plus, of course, we've had quite a lot of discussions kind of going back and forth. I put together a preliminary letter to the County Board of Supervisors. We spread it among our members. Everybody contributed either comments to add or subtract things. What David sent out to you, I think, is the latest version. I don't know how perfect it is or whatever, but again, hopefully you guys all had a chance to peruse it and come away again with any other final comments that you might want to make. But again, it should be there. It's for you to see.
Is that available to share?
I can find it and share it.
Yeah.
I'm Lisa.
It was on the attachment, from David.
Are we able to do a screen share and?
That's what I'm doing.
on it? Yeah, I was going to say, because I did make some comments on it, and I see that they didn't make it to the letter because I was away and only had my phone to try to edit in the Google Drive thing. So So I sent the notes, and so I'm reading this, and I'm noticing that a couple, that some of my input wasn't in there. But also, I did get a chance to speak to Nezzy today, and she made some comments that I thought were valid that should also be included in it.
So let me stop share for a minute. So we're still very much, we're not in the pulling it up and reading it to vote on it phase. We're not there yet.
I mean, we could, but I think it just needs a couple more comments in it. I thought maybe we could just add it because I don't want to hold it up either.
Right, that was kind of, okay, let me get back to sharing then.
Yeah.
If we could share it and work on it, we could have a motion to pass it.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. Hold on.
Right.
We're doing good on time, so we'll find it. Here it is.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thanks.
No worries. No worries. And I'll even, I don't know where you guys went, but you can see, for some reason I've got the share, but I don't have you guys anymore. Where'd you guys go? So I'm just, if you are raising your hand, you guys call each other. Unless someone else can put this up on their screen, I can't see anybody now. Okay. Oh, no, wait, maybe I can here. There we go. I found you guys again. Go ahead, Bert. I see your hand, Bert.
I move that we approve this draft statement to the Humboldt County Board of Supervisors proposed by the Homeless Committee.
Do we want to look at it, or do we just want to just go for it and just let them fix it up and get it ready and then we'll present it?
No, what we're doing is
Okay,
we're
go ahead,
putting
Bert.
it out there. If someone will second this motion, then we discuss it and we may change it, but we can then
Got
vote
it.
or table it,
All right.
whatever we want. But let's get it out there first. So I have a motion on the table. So can somebody, thank you.
Looks like Guy, was that his second?
And now it's open for discussion. I got it.
Yes.
Protocol. Got it. Thanks, Bert. Protocol. Wasn't for protocol.
All right, great.
Okay. So I'm just going to kind of move you guys out of the way. And again, if someone's raising their hand, Jim, if you could call on them for me, or Bird, or call on each other. So here we are. Whoa. Here we are.
Now, are you going to be able to edit it?
I can edit.
Good. Okay, please do.
You guys just tell me. I'm just going to be here. The following statement was approved by all the members of the Human Rights Commission on November 4th, November.
So this is the time, Lisa, for you to put forward the things that you said you wanted to change that didn't get to it.
All right. One of them was number 6, land.
Huh? Number 6, land. You wanted number 6. You wanted to say land?
Yeah.
Like that? Okay.
Yeah. Hold on. Let's see. And so I don't know exactly where to put this. You guys can just tell me, but the Humboldt is declared. This is what Nazi told me today. Humboldt is a declared shelter crisis. I get that the statewide kind of status, and we have been since 2018. So this has been at crisis level.
Well, I think that would come even before the members of Humboldt County then, don't you think? You would kind of put it right here. Humboldt County is declared.
Mm-hmm.
But we want to get the actual. I could learn how to write that.
Lisa,
Sorry, guys.
Mary,
Uh-huh.
this is Nezzy.
Hi, Nezzy.
And I'm not exactly sure what Lisa had in mind for me to contribute. She did tell me about the meeting tonight and that there was going to be a letter to the board. And we did talk about our shelter crisis declaration here. And one of the things that I think is really important for everybody to know about our county for the shelter crisis declaration, even though the county members may know that we have a declared shelter crisis, they may also not know that we have not acted like we have a shelter crisis. And so I have a document that I shared with Lisa today. And It was just from my experience of the Housing Trust Fund Homelessness Solutions Committee and my passion for the shelter crisis as a declaration that would facilitate homeless shelters on city and county lands or leases by suspending some of the building codes and other regulations. Compliance with the state law is really important. And we haven't complied with the state law as a county. So in September 2020, Governor Newsom approved AB 2553. It's Chapter 147, Statute 2020 as an urgency statute. The provisions of AB 2553, which amended Government Code Section 8698.4, which was the shelter crisis declaration language that was used from the legislation, became effective immediately. The amendments provide that any city or county with a declared shelter crisis is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act and other specified laws, such as the Special Occupancy Parks Act, which it leases, conveys, or encumbers its own land or facilitates such use of its land, or provides financial assistance to a homeless shelter constructed or allowed by the shelter crisis statute. That's also in the Government Code 8698.4, Section A. Notably, the homeless shelter is defined as a statute in the statute as a facility which overnight sleeping accommodations, the primary purpose of which is to provide temporary shelter for the homeless. That's not in existence after the declared shelter crisis. So that's C in the law. And anyway, it included but was not limited to a temporary homeless shelter community that could include supportive and self-sufficiency development services. In any case, it could be a parking lot. This is a letter from the Housing Trust Fund Homelessness Solutions Committee, indicating that, it shall include a parking lot owned or leased by a county, specifically identified as one allowed for safe parking by homeless and unstably housed individuals. And that's a repeat of what was defined as statute. The amended law requires the county to take several actions, and one action involves adopting an emergency housing ordinance that applies minimum building standards to shelter projects. So I'll read that again, or say that again. The amended law requires the county to take several actions. One action involves adopting an emergency housing ordinance that applies minimum building standards to shelter projects. The county must either adopt the emergency building codes adopted by the State Department of Housing and Community Development, HCD, or explain why its ordinance does not meet HCD's minimum standards, but otherwise still protects health and safety. So the county was required to develop a plan because we have a declared shelter crisis by July 1, 2021. The plan must be publicly available according to what the state requests, and Humboldt County has failed to develop a required plan, as far as I know. And I don't know if they've done anything since this attempt to convey this to the board from the Housing Trust Fund. But the idea here is that if without a plan, the county will fail to make its next annual report due by January 1, 2022, regarding the data supporting the plan and what actions it has taken to implement the plan. And the plan is pretty specific. The plan asks what you're going to do with homeless, how many you're going to be able to accommodate, and by when, and so forth. And that's for any place that has a declared shelter crisis. And this is at the direction of the state. So the Housing Trust Fund and Homelessness Solutions Committee urged the board, the county, to recognize. I don't even know if this letter has been sent yet. That's just how far out of it. It's hard to track anything that goes on anymore. I don't know if this has even gone to the Board of Supervisors yet, but it's been in the public packet that's gone out to the community from the Housing Trust Fund Homelessness Solutions Committee. And as far as I understand, the issue here is that we haven't complied with what the state has requested in coming up with a plan, and the state has clarified that we can relax standards and ordinances and law in order to accommodate, including the California Environmental Quality Act and things that would otherwise get in the way of developing shelter. And we don't have any in Humboldt County, and it's almost winter.
And that leads me to, I'm sorry, Bert, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, because we're adding suggestions in here, right? And after her comment, there's a voucher program, right? And
Yes, in fact, I would like to leave this meeting to go to that. The Humboldt Housing Authority is holding a meeting right now, asking people for input about housing. And I've already missed 15 minutes of that meeting, so I would really like to go. But
thank you.
I thank you for being concerned and caring, and really consider very seriously that we are not an entity unto ourselves. We should be in compliance with people who are seeing this in a bigger picture for not only Humboldt County, but for our state and our region, and for the people that will be impacting us as fires and as the moratoriums end and everything else comes into play. We need not to be thinking about what we can't do. We need to be thinking about what we can do and what we should do, and to whomever we can, housing whenever we can, to whomever we can, a shelter to whomever we can, whenever we can, wherever we can. And we should be asking all those questions and being very serious and deeply rooted and pressuring in our own hearts and our own beings to know what's the right thing to do, because it's our responsibility under a Charter of Human Rights. So thank you very much for what you're doing and what
Hold
you're...
on.
Before you leave, Nezzy, please, could we go back to what Marianne added about being under crisis? Would it be correct to add a sentence there which says Humboldt County is not in compliance with the requirements of the state declaration?
Unless the county has developed a plan or has developed some sort of a relationship that gives them some kind of special order, or maybe they've already done it. I don't know. But if there is a state law and we must comply with it. And if we don't, you can speak the consequences. You don't have to say whether we have or haven't.
Okay, so if Humboldt County, if we added here, if Humboldt County has not complied with all the requirements of this law, there will be consequences that we don't know, or that will be serious, or, can we add a sentence there to say?
Well, I guess there's the possibility always that if we're not in compliance, funding that might come our way probably would not. That's one of the probably major things that they should be concerned about.
So if we said, if the county is not in compliance with the requirements of this law, funding would be jeopardized.
Well, not only that, they are going to be violating their own legislation. The shelter crisis declaration that the county, declared was a shelter declaration until the declaration ends. We have not ended homelessness. We have not ended the cry. So it is still open and will be viable until we do. The point that I'm trying to make is the state required the county, to all counties who have shelter crisis declared, to develop a shelter crisis plan. And I don't know if our county has a plan or not. But at the time that the Housing Trust Fund Homelessness Solutions was working on this, which was as recent as September, I would be probably fairly certain to say that if they didn't have a plan then, they probably haven't got a plan now, unless it's something they put together very quickly to achieve compliance with that.
Okay, then
So
I don't feel comfortable adding anything until somebody has reviewed these bills. And we don't want to say to the Board of Supervisors, if you're not in compliance, I think we can say
So-
that Humboldt County's been declared a crisis county, but we don't know if we're in compliance. We don't know what's going on, it sounds like. So we want to speak
But we
from
want to
that.
ensure it. We do want to ensure it, though.
Well,
Right, we
and,
want
and
to
here-
speak
here's-
from fact.
they,
not
hold,
fiction.
hold it. In February of 2018, when we passed Resolution 1815, the county declared the existence of a shelter crisis in accordance with the Government Code 8698, and so on. Among other things, the Board of Supervisors at that time resolved, one, to encourage private groups and organizations within the community to provide shelter for those in need. That was the first thing. The second thing was they found the current activities of private groups and organizations may not be adequate to meet the need for shelter. And three, that they further found that strict compliance with otherwise applicable state or federal statutes, regulations, ordinances would prevent, hinder, or delay the county mitigation of the effects of the shelter crisis. So they aren't, if they don't, that's what they resolved on their own. And then Governor Newsom passed the urgency, he called it an urgency statute because, it became effective immediately. And it was an amendment that basically provided that any city or county with a declared shelter crisis is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act and other specified laws, such as the Special Occupancy Parks Act, when it leases, conveys, encumbers its own land, facilitates such use of land, or provides financial assistance to a homeless shelter constructed or allowed by the shelter crisis statute. And a lot of what that relates to in terms of our environment and our concerns have to do with many things being in the coastal zone. Because a lot of property is in the coastal zone, it's not available. There are rules about, standards for environmental quality that would make it maybe difficult for our environmental health department to accept alternatives for waterless systems for waste removal, waterless toilets and so forth. There are so many issues that are operating at such a high level to make a shift that would allow us to implement not only new technology and some amazing opportunities for sustainability, at the same time that we're actually addressing a need. And very few people are actually talking about this kind of thing. It's because we're dealing with a county bureaucracy that only knows what it is in existence with building codes and all of those things. And I shouldn't say only knows. There's the most amazing people who work in the planning department and for our county. And it's been wonderful having an opportunity to work with people on some of the things that get in the way. And always there are definitions, ordinances, zoning, that we have all of these layers of bureaucracy. And the state has said, if you have a declared shelter crisis, you can bend some of these. And they're giving a leeway here to do that. I don't know what the answer is, but we certainly should have the Board of Supervisors be aware that, or reminded that we do have a shelter crisis and we have a lot of permissions to be able to do these things using government resources, using the municipal and citizenry resources, which is land.
Hey, Nezzy, really quick, what is the limitation of the voucher program?
What do you mean?
What can you use it for? What can't you use the voucher program?
Well, I can't even. That's what I'm missing right now by being in this meeting.
Okay. All right.
So I really can't speak strongly about it because I'm not as informed as I would like to be. So I need to go.
Thank you, Nezzy and Bird.
I would like to suggest several things. First of all, that this be referred back to the committee, table my motion until next month, and that the committee look at this again in terms of adding vouchers and adding a statement, something to do with how the county is dealing with the declared shelter crisis, and that this be in the format, not just of solutions, but of recommendations to the Board of Supervisors to do these things. For example, the alternative that Desi was talking about, those are things that she was saying, and it's all here. But that's a solution, but we want to make recommendations to the Board of Supervisors saying, these are the things that we think you should do. And so I think I hate to send something back to a committee that has worked so hard on this, but I think rather than trying to do wordsmithing here and working on something that we're not quite sure about yet, that it might be better to ask the committee to come back with a revised draft for us in December.
Question, are we able to do a poll vote? No, we can't do that, huh? 'Cause
Through the chair, is it possible for public comment or for me to respond?
Right now,
Yes.
we're already out of we're already not following the rules as we're going along, but because it's normally supposed to be that we discuss it and then a non-committee member gets a chance to respond one time. So we're already kind of a little bit off kilter, but I think that you guys should invite Nezzy to I think that Nezzy should be going to the Homelessness Committee meeting. I think that would be a smart move. And that way you can get all that information from Nezzy and be able to put it together a little bit more clearly.
Can add to the chat, maybe.
Huh?
Can the person who's trying to communicate maybe do it in the chat, maybe?
No, we don't have that.
Oh, we don't?
No. There's no.
Okay.
But I think it'd be great to get in touch with Nezzy and to be able to, Guy, go ahead.
For sure.
And have to come to because she gave so much information now that's kind of above and beyond, which is awesome. And I've known Nezzy for years and she rocks, but I think that being able to coalesce all that and add that to the letter. And I see Guy's hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a quick comment. Again, I understand everybody's concern, but I'm a little put off also just the fact that, this letter has been out to you guys for a couple weeks. The whole idea was to have people make suggestions and edit onto this thing so we could get this thing together. Postponing it another month is fine. Again, I'll just add on to Nezzy's comment. I mean, we're coming to winter. We want to get this thing out to the Board of Supervisors now, not in 2 months. So again,
I would encourage you to do that because another month is not going to happen. Right now, write the letter today.
I'd be ready for us to do minor adjustments, but Nezzy brought so much to the table. If we're going to add it,
I don't think she's brought so much to the table. I think she's given us more detail.
Got it.
Put in there. That's there. We can obviously change. Instead of saying solutions, we can say recommendations.
Right.
Lisa's mentioned land. I'd like to maybe add just another specific term in there so that, because I know the board's going to say land meaning what. So, I mean, we can talk about maybe rezoning land for low-cost housing or, again, for, parking facilities, because we've added a lot of that in there. But again,
I feel like that this is important enough that if you were able to, for the sake of time, we want to be done by 7, and I believe that we still have a little bit more to discuss.
Can I
and
ask
other things? But could we have I would be willing to call a special meeting if you guys could bring us more or less a finished product for us to vote on.
Can I ask a parliamentary question here?
Absolutely.
Okay, if I can get you guys to provide us, again, look at the draft over here, make, again, corrections, additions that you want. I will try to wordsmith it back again. And if we can, is it possible if I send it out to all the members that we can actually take a vote essentially online without another meeting, if we can get everything?
No, we do a quick special meeting.
Okay.
I think what we can do is we could send this back to the committee to give it to us in a Google Doc for any final changes. without changing the concepts and the ideas that are in there, just doing the wordsmithing, I think we can approve it now based on the committee making those wordsmith changes.
Okay. I mean, do know it should be in a Google Doc. I mean,
It is in a Google Doc. I've been working on it with us together. Yeah, we were just working on it. I had read it. Like,
I don't know how much more we need to add to it. I guess my concern is also how quickly can we turn this around? Because I definitely want to get it out fast.
it could be formatted. We have the letterhead. It could be formatted with the letterhead. And I think that when it's signed, but it wouldn't be signed. It would be signed by the Human Rights Commission, correct? Not just the committee.
I mean, I just added our names at the beginning of it. I assumed after we approved it, everyone
none of this down here would be on there at the end. It would just be
can I just say one of the ideas that I had, and I wanted this for everyone's discussion, because if it goes back to committee, I won't have everybody's input, but the voucher program, if they're allowing the county to loosen the laws, there was something that Nezzy said, and that was that the vouchers only work it has to be a house with a solid foundation. I mean, do we care? If someone's got a motorhome, I mean, if somebody has a spare room, let's get these, and there'll be people that are, not qualified. They're not hotels, but I don't know why we couldn't open it up to people who had room in their homes. I do it all the time. I'm always taking in folks, but I can't imagine how many homes there are. It reminds me of Uber. How many people have cars? And that's where Uber became a whole business. And the voucher program, how many people have extra rooms or, a motorhome that they could use, but the voucher program has specific language where it doesn't allow that, right? And so that's what I was asking her about that. That's what she's going to go find out on this next call. And there's a listening session on one of the, on the home thing about this whole issue right now. It's going on as we speak. So I guess that it will give us some time to hear what that has to say. But as a recommendation, I think that if there's a bed open, I don't know why they couldn't use a voucher program for that.
Jim, I think, or Bert, I saw Jim's hand. I don't know if you were up for.
I would like, first of all, we have to resolve the motion that's on the floor. But secondly, I'd like us to put this off for 1 week to a special meeting on next Thursday. But in the meantime, we all commit to making the comments and the suggestions that the committee is asking for. I heard maybe the committee was not overwhelmed, but I was overwhelmed by all the information that I thought.
So was I.
We need to confirm that this is accurate, and we don't have that confirmation, and we're about to go before the Board of Supervisors. I think we owe it to ourselves to take 1 week and go from there.
And if we looked at what the Board of Supervisors is already doing, are we being redundant in all the things that we're saying in there?
We need to make sure of that.
Yeah.
Right, exactly, because are they already doing some of these things? Bert?
That's basically that's what I was going to say, that I would like to see my motion that we work on this on the Google Docs and have a special meeting to approve it in time for it to go to the Board of Supervisors for their meeting on Tuesday the 16th. There's no way we can do it for next Tuesday, but I think if we meet next Tuesday, we can get it to them. So it's timely. It's 2 weeks from almost 2 weeks from today.
I think we'd
Go ahead.
Well, I'm just afraid we're going to shoot ourselves in the foot if we don't take that 1 extra week.
I agree.
I think time is of the essence, but accuracy is too.
Yes.
Well, I'd like to, have we shown this to any of our any of the supervisors that we represent, have we shown this draft to any of them to find out if some of these things are already taking place? Have we done that yet in the committee? Does anybody know? So that we know that, our own supervisors who we're representing here on the commission, have we asked them what they're already doing?
I've reached out to our representative, Madrone, and haven't heard back yet.
Get Larry.
And you're talking about working on a Google, what, we're going to all work on a Google document, and who's going to take all of these different,
The committee.
the committee, okay, who in the committee is going to do the final putting it together? How is that going to be approved? Whose recommendations are going to be included? Whose aren't? I was under. Please let me finish. I was under the impression that I read the document. I thought David was the one that was to be receiving the recommendations from the commissioners. He's not here. Did he do that, or Guy, or does all the recommendations go to you through him? How did that work? I was under the impression that David was the one that sent out that draft.
I wrote the first draft for our committee and then submitted it to our committee for suggestions and additions. We tried to incorporate as many of them as we could. And then, of course, brought it back to everybody to look at it so that, again, they could, clean it up. And then David presented it. I mean, it's his job as the secretary. He's the one that sent it out to all you guys so you could take a look at it. And again, look at it for suggestions, corrections, anything. So make sure that we're not, to use Jim's thing, we're not shooting ourselves in the foot. We want to make sure.
Right.
And corrections, and you just add comments on the actual Google Doc, and then Guy, as the head of that committee, would go in and approve or decline the comments, and the doc would be completed that easily.
And in the final process, the committee would be presenting us a new draft for our vote. And hopefully most of the questions and concerns will have been addressed in that final draft. And if we meet a week from today, if everybody's available, that would be the only topic on the agenda.
Yeah, right.
So we have time to take whatever we had to do.
Yeah.
I would not be available next Thursday. Both my daughters are coming to town, but it could be Tuesday or so, because I feel like once we have a special meeting, it's going to take over an hour, because we have just spent over a half hour right now. And I think that when we start getting into the nitty gritty of everything that's in that document, I approve everything that's in the document already. I mean, I think with just a little bit of cleaning up, we should I'd almost just vote on it now and put a letterhead on it and just let it go. But I want to make sure that you guys have checked to make sure that the supervisors aren't doing the things that you're suggesting already. Because if they're doing, you know what I'm saying? But if you've checked on that already, Bird?
I think it's all right if they have done some of these things, because then they can say, we've done this, but not that. I don't think it matters if they've done some of them. But I do think that there are certain things we need to be sure about the declaration of the shelter, what recommendations need to be done because they are not in compliance. That's what we need to check on, I think.
Okay.
And when did you say you could meet on Tuesday next week?
Yes.
Is that pushing everybody too much?
No, I think we just need to, I would like to see the letter that Nezzy had put together that she was kind of mentioning or read from, and check some of these policies or laws, the urgent state, just because it'll impact the kind of recommendations. If there's, that's why I kept on asking her about the voucher program. The voucher program could be where there's a lot of leniency and it opens up, every home becomes a hotel, that kind of thing. And so it might be a recommendation, but I need to know what the constraints are on the voucher program. So, and I just talked to her today by chance. I called her up and had a conversation, and she started spilling all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my God. And I looked at our letter and I'm like, okay, time out for a second. It's worth it for us to hear what she had to say. And then now I want, if we're going to I don't want to just send a letter to just send a letter. I want to have an impact letter. And I think that the information she was saying was very important. And it will help us craft one that can have a little bit more, that will have something that are real recommendations that I think can have impact. Thank you.
Jim?
I was just thinking that the letter, whenever it's finished, it may or may not get read in a Board of Supervisors meeting. It might get received, but that I would like to see us have the opportunity to back it up with a presence at the Board of Supervisors. And that may take more than a week or two, unfortunately, because of the way their agendas are set up. So just keep that in mind as we make a decision here.
Also, for a special meeting still has to have a 72-hour window, correct? We have to post it 72 hours in advance.
I believe it's 48 hours for a special meeting.
Okay, because I would have to draft that and get that sent out tomorrow still. Because is it 48 hours business or literally 48 hours?
Business.
Saturday. So yeah, so Saturday and tomorrow's already Friday. Saturday and Sunday would not count.
Well, could it be Wednesday? But I'm available any of those days.
My daughters, both of them are arriving to town with my new grandson's coming to town Wednesday. So I would be, I could be available Saturday morning. Or I could be available Tuesday night.
Make it Tuesday night. That's still enough time. If you get it out tomorrow for the time.
Yeah, I think it is too, yeah. Tuesday night work great.
8 hours, it's fine.
Tuesday night, 5 p.m.
Could we make it 5:30?
Yeah, if it were up to me, I'd make it 6, but no, 5:30. No, but 5:30 p.m., yes. And I will email, Guy, would you be willing to put together an email that David could share out about what the special meeting is going to be about, that we'll be reviewing this letter. Since you're the head of that committee, that we're reviewing this letter and this is your time. We're voting on it. Speak up, get in there and look at it and send that draft out again. Are you willing? Can you do that for us, Guy? Does that work for you? Huh? I can't. He's shaking his head, yes. And I understand how you feel, Guy. Boy, you see sometimes there just aren't a lot of us here tonight.
Right.
Okay.
But I also suggest, Mary Ann, that tomorrow you also try to get us on the agenda for the, 16th?
Dinner for the 16th, okay.
Yes, and because we know we're going to do this.
And that's Brooke. I contact Brooke for that, right?
Yes.
Got it.
Well,
Because as I said,
or Kathy Hayes.
well, I have to send this to Brooke in the morning anyway.
Well, there's a difference between sending the notification of our meeting and the request to be on the Board of Supervisors agenda.
Yeah, they're two different things.
Two different things.
Yeah, Brooke's been teaching me.
Do them both tomorrow so that you have time to get on that agenda.
Okay, great. I'll do it in the morning. And I'll send an email and let you guys know that I was successful.
Thank you.
And I do agree it's timely. And I was I felt like we were pretty ready to discuss it, but Nancy did bring up some good points, I think, following up on that. All right, if that's it on the homelessness survey, I apologize for the committee ending date on the human rights survey. I'll make sure that we fix that for the minutes. And Jim.
Well, just to be clear, the motion to approve the document has been withdrawn.
Yes.
Yes.
Does the second agree with that? Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay, the human rights survey. Lochte.
Well, Jim, you go ahead.
But I just wanted to mention that our committee has been meeting regularly. Our intern, she doesn't call herself an intern, but our liaison to Humboldt State is with us tonight. She's been sitting through our meeting. We are meeting every first and third Tuesday of the month. We have recently made some real progress meeting with the California Center for Rural Policy, who are intending to help in formulating the survey and any backup advice that we might need. And we believe that the survey will be pretty much ready to distribute as of the end of November. The timeline for having it out there to the public is not set in stone, but it's initially set for 30 days. The reason we picked November 29th, which is the Monday after Thanksgiving, was so that we'd have that entire month of December, and if necessary, we could extend into January. We've also made some progress. Some of it's relevant to our discussions tonight, that Ellen has been able to arrange for a different aspect of the university to work on recommendations for our social media presence and our website, so that we can be more effective in how we reach the public. Bird was gone for a while, having fun, but she joined us this Tuesday, and it seems as though all of the things are moving forward. If you're curious about the questions, it's the last folder in the shared drive under internships. You can see where those questions stand. If you wish to make suggestions, please do. But we think we're pretty close to having the document ready. And then the next stage will be to contact media. And in that regard, if you have connections or names of people that could help get a survey like this distributed, especially in the more rural areas of the county, we'd like to make sure we're not overlooking anybody. So that would be something important to do as soon as you could think of it. Ellen, I know you're here. Would you like to add anything?
I have a quick question first, Jim. Does the commission need to approve the survey before it can be distributed? Normally, I know that happened with the last survey, where it was presented and motion was made to accept it. We accepted it, like kind of what we're doing for the letter. Is that required for this too, or do you guys just put the survey out without?
It's my understanding that the commission has approved this work in advance, but I want you to be participating by fine-tuning any of the questions that we've already put out. And if we're missing a question, an important question that needs to be asked, and we can phrase it in such a way that it's a quantitative response, that would be very useful.
Yeah, I was just curious. I didn't know if it needed to be approved before it was disseminated, if the commission needed to approve.
My understanding is that it's been basically the concept has been approved.
Yeah.
Well,
that's-
yeah, the concept's been approved.
But it was my understanding that the commission wanted a survey and gave this committee, said, go do it. And never said, you have to bring it back for us to approve it. If that's what you wanted, you needed to say it.
Well, gosh, can we do that for the letter from the
Let's not mix up
homeless committee
subjects.
then? Well, I mean, we should be able to do it with that too. Let them just do it and send it off. It seems like same thing.
That's right.
But okay. And I think that's what you were originally saying is we could have pre-approved the homelessness letter.
That's what I was, but that's okay.
Okay, Guy, Larry.
Question. Jim, is this going to be hard copy or computer
It's going to be
in terms of responses?
That's why we are emphasizing the rural parts of the county where Wi-Fi may not be immediately available. It will do hard copies in some locations, and we're looking for the best distribution we can. Primarily, it'll be an online survey, but it'll be both.
Will it be a Google form? Is that the kind of survey?
It is going to be Google form.
Great. Ellen, what you got to add in there? I know Jim wanted you to.
What?
Just that I am working on the survey itself. I'm hoping to have it in at least a first draft Google Forms by the end of this weekend is my hope. And that I'm also working on the IRB process with Humboldt State. And I'm hoping to have that to them by early next week. And I'm not sure how long that'll take, depending on the questions that they have regarding the survey.
Thanks for all your hard work.
Oh, and also that I would welcome any comments or additional ideas about who to reach out to. And I will have what I am hoping to send out to on the Google shared Google file soon. As soon as I have it all ready to go, I just need to add it to the shared file. So I definitely like to hear any input and ideas about where it should go out to, as I'm kind of new to the area, so I'm certainly missing some things, I know.
Well, I'd like to point out that in that folder in the shared drive, there is a lot of material. Ellen has been very, very busy.
Yeah, she's done a great job.
Awesome. I'm going to dive into it tonight. Check it out. Well, I appreciate all the hard work, Jim and Bird, that you guys are doing on this. And I look forward to taking the survey. We'll move on to new commission logo, unless there's anything else on that. I do have an email.
We have that.
So I'll read that into the meeting. Said I haven't had any success reaching anyone at Ink People or Yaws to participate or coordinate on the logo design. And if I'm unable to connect with that portion during that portion of the meeting, my update on logo design would be to suggest to open the competition up on social media, advertise with the details from the Humboldt County Human Rights Commission Facebook page, and reach out to schools and organizations that way with tags or message them with the link. I'm open to other suggestions as well. Time is ticking though, so it's nice to get this moving forward. That was her email to us earlier. Jim?
I'm sorry, but that is not a committee report. That is an idea that is coming from one person on the committee. I wish we wouldn't necessarily read into the minutes something that the committee hasn't even discussed yet.
Well, and I would have no way of knowing that. She was the head of the committee and she sent that email. So did you guys meet at all last month?
I said a minute ago, we have not met.
No one has met. Okay, well, we'll just leave it at that then. And we'll move on to unfinished business then. Yeehaw commune update. There is no update. I haven't gotten any reports back. Existing storage and records. Jim, were you able to find anything out about if they have space or not, don't have space? I didn't know if you were supposed to. Don't think you were, but I know you stop by there once in a while.
I buy there quite often. I've already begun bringing home things that are left in the filing cabinet. These go back many, many years. Eddie and I are supposed to work together to put them in some sort of a format that we can preserve the records. That may not be as easy as it seems, but at least all the documents will be in one place rather than two or three.
Thank you for utilizing your own home space for that, but
That's not
there
forever.
should be, yeah, there should be, I don't know who to talk to about that. But there should be a place where the different commissions stuff is stored. There must be some county storage. I don't know. I will ask around. You guys keep asking around. I don't know what else to say about that one. Sorry, guys. The EPD texting investigation report, we already got a thing on. Resource cards report, I didn't hear anything back. I don't know if they've been updated. I believe there's been an update this year, but I haven't gotten anything on it. Did anybody else get any news on that?
Have we contacted the lady?
I definitely reached out to do that. Yeah, they've emailed and I'm just waiting to find out. It just didn't happen before the meetings for me to give an update on that. The future meeting planning, we have seen that the Humboldt County Supervisors will begin meeting in person in January. That's already been decided and the news is out. So I don't know if that means that we will have a meeting space. Has anybody else heard anything? Besides, yeah.
I'm sorry to talk too much, but we need, I really believe we should have a short-term committee to discuss our future plans for meetings, whether they're going to be in person, whether they're going to include Zoom, whether they're going to be Zoom only, and what the Brown Act will permit. And we can do that. We don't have to wait for the Board of Supervisors to start meeting to see what works best for us. We have better participation, I think, when we are on Zoom. But whether that's an acceptable program going forward, I don't know. If you want to contact the Planning Commission probably by way of the Public Works Department, you could find out when or if they intend to meet again in the courthouse. If they do, that's always been our free pass to meet at the same time in the courthouse. That's if we want to do it. But I think a committee ought to be having this discussion.
Would you like to head that committee, Jim?
What? No, I would not. I think it's enough I'm making the suggestion.
What I'd like to find out also, Jim, when you talk about it, is who else meets in the Board of Supervisors meeting room at night? Is it only the Planning Commission?
It's always been just the Planning Commission. They meet twice a month on Thursday nights. I think it's every other Thursday, and then we meet once a month, or we did. We don't
And
have.
is that room even going to still be available? Didn't they do something with that room?
That's what a committee should find out.
Right. Well, I suppose we could put off forming a committee until next month, unless somebody wants to take that on. And I will. I'll contact the Planning Committee because the news just came out that they're going to reopen in January to in-person meetings. That was just announced a couple days ago. So I'd be glad to call the Planning Commission tomorrow and ask them what's up, if they're going to be meeting in person or not. Or like I said, under the Parks Department, I'll send an email to whatever his name is that I talked with about Yeehaw, head of the Planning Commission. Or no, he's head of the Planning Department, not the Commission. Never mind. So we're missing 4 or 5 people. I don't think I see anybody wanting to step up and form a committee tonight on that. But I do agree that we should come up with some ideas and come back to the December meeting with some concrete ideas or form a committee then. Does that work for you, Jim?
It's up to the group, whatever the group wants to do.
I don't. Does anybody want to form a committee tonight to look into that? Nope, I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing us all chomping at the bit for that. But Jim, you and I'll just reach out to you, Jim. We'll talk, okay? Without being a committee. Let's move on to 12, new business. I don't know if we added any new business. I think everything we did was referring to mostly homelessness and the unfinished business. Does everybody agree with that? Anybody hear anything new that we needed to add?
We couldn't add it now.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, right.
Add it for the December meeting.
Right, that's what I meant. Yeah. Do we have any future agenda items for the December 2021 meeting? Anybody have anything? Hearing nothing, I'm going to adjourn the meeting at exactly 7 p.m.
Good for you.
It just said 7 p.m. I'm going to adjourn this meeting. No, it's a lot. And I do, I'm going to put some time and energy into figuring out what's going to happen with meetings. I think I'll write to Virginia Bass and say, hey, what is available for commissions? Is there a storage unit that we can have a corner of for where do we store stuff, things like that? What do all the other commissions do? There's a lot of commissions. Not a lot, but about 10. Well, I appreciate you all. We're the dedicated.
You know what? I did realize I forgot, and I won't have to go back or anything like that. But I do the Dakota Access buildings that I sent forward.
Right.
I just wanted to say that our supervisor sent it to the county planning department because I don't know what else we can do, but those Dakota Access buildings are available. They're beds, and I thought that they would be good temporary units for people that needed a place to stay until they found homes. But somebody would have to have the money to pull the trigger and buy them because they're in Idaho, Montana, and South Dakota, I believe, and they're 2,400 beds, 2 beds to 1 unit kind of thing. So just wanted to make everybody available. That data is all in the email, but that's forwarded to them.
You forwarded it to the planning department and the supervisors?
Yeah, I sent it to
Good job.
Yeah, anyway, so that's where it's at. I know what to do.
I know, Lisa, we're just a bunch of cool volunteers. We're trying, we're doing the best we can. We're caring and doing the best we can, There's a lot of circumstances. Well, if there's anything else anybody would like to say? Oh, post-meeting?
Recording stopped.
No, I other than I can, if we want to mention it in the letter or something like that, that might be something we can do, but nothing. I'm good. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, and I will get an agenda ready and the agenda's just going to simply have one item on it. Jim, maybe I'll call you in the morning about that. I'll look back at other special meetings too. There isn't much we need to do. Call to order and roll call and do the agenda item, right?
Feel free to give me a call in the morning.
Yeah, I'll call you during my break at work, or otherwise I get done with work at 12:30. One of those 2 times.
I'll be home.
All right. Take care, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and close up shop now.
Night.
I appreciate all of you.
Night, everybody.
Thanks, Mara.
Night.
Carpani, tell your beautiful daughter I said hi. I had forgotten Carpani was yeah.